I'll be the best alive. I'm gonna show you how to do it right. You'll see how you should be living life. But when you do, it's not that hard. Really gonna wanna give it up. I'll be the best alive. I'm gonna show you how to do it right.
What's up, BC? I'm Giovanni, and this is the podcast for Boston. Boston College Sailing is in the building. We have Peter, Joslin, and Paige, Roby, a couple of seniors with us. Guys, welcome. How are we doing today?
Great. We're happy to be here.
Welcome into our humble abode. As spring break approaches, there's still snow on the ground, and I get a lot of comments say, "Oh, you start every single one of these about the snow and the weather," but since we've started filming these this semester, there hasn't not been snow on the ground. My question for you guys in sailing is, what does training look like right now when everything's frozen over? I look at the Charles and there's nowhere to sail. What does it look like?
It's going to be a slow start to the season.
Yeah.
Usually right after spring break, we jump right into practice at Savin Hill Yacht Club, which is where we sail.
Yep.
And I ran there the other day actually, and it's totally frozen over by the beach. So it's going to be a slow start to the season. We might have to delay a little bit on our home practices.
In years past, would you have had maybe a quicker start to the season, maybe before spring break ever?
Not while I have been on the team. Sometimes we'll set up boats. Usually we have to take a day or two to get all the boats off the rack and into the water onto the floating docks. But usually spring break, we're really lucky to have an early spring break that can mark a really strong start to the season where we will do double sessions. So typically spring break is our beginning of the season.
And we were just talking before the episode about your trip to Miami coming up. It sounds like that's an every year occurrence. What does that bring for you guys as it's before the season and an opportunity to get in the boat and on the water?
It means a lot. Like having that time to do 2 practices a day in the warm weather and be all together as a team somewhere else is like a really fun experience. We have different roommates with teammates and everything like that. It's really awesome. It's a really great way to jumpstart our season.
And to get out of this cold weather, right?
Yeah.
Head down to Florida, get some
no
shirts.
snow in Miami.
Exactly, right? Get some shirts and shorts on and get back into those spring and summer days. In terms of what practice looks like before spring break, you've mentioned a normal year you might start sailing right after spring breaks, and that's the benefit of the early one, right? But typically in this winter conditioning period, what does the day-to-day look like?
Yeah, so we continue having lift 3 times a week as we do during the seasons. And then I think a really big part of our team and what makes us special is we try and take a lot of ownership of what we do. So we, outside of our coach, we organize different meetings. We're going into team race season, which involves a little bit more strategy and studying different videos. So we do a lot of meetings outside of just lift, and we meet with our coach, and we just try and connect as teammates and have fun together.
And you mentioned ownership. That's a really interesting term. I feel like a lot of teams talk about accountability. Is that sort of what you're getting at? Is that something that was, I guess, it's been a part of the program since you got here?
100%. I think Peter and I's role, as captains, is so easy when you have a team that is made up of leaders that are individuals, in their own right.
Yeah.
And who are able to, take accountability and make the person next to them better every day. It makes our job super easy, and it's definitely been something that we focus on since day one.
When everyone's almost like a leader in of themselves, right?
Exactly.
And you guys are sort of the shepherds, the guiding lights as captains, if you will, right? Kind of getting everyone to that same philosophy. But as we get into your team, we'll touch certainly on ownership in just a moment. I want to get to you guys first because I feel like everyone's got a moment when they step on BC's campus. I know for me it was 4 years ago. I toured we're all seniors, toured during COVID. Not many places were doing tours, but BC was one of those spots. And I remember stepping on this campus and saying, this place is amazing. Did you guys have one of those moments when you were picking BC versus other schools?
Yeah, I totally did. I had an older cousin who went here, and I had somebody who was kind of like a mentor to me in sailing wise, who was also from San Diego, who came here, and they both encouraged me to come and visit, and that was all I needed. I needed to come visit and meet coach, and that was it.
Yeah. Coming over from the West Coast, you mentioned that. There had to be something about BC, maybe the sailing program that would get you to fly 3,000 miles across the country and then set up shop on the East Coast.
Definitely. The sailing program was a huge part. I wanted to be on a really highly competitive sailing team, and I kind of wanted a different experience too. Living somewhere not like the West Coast it's been really cool, and it's been a cool experience for me.
Do you ever, not regret it, but with the snow, do you ever think, oh, I could be in San
definitely
Diego right now?
When I talk to my parents and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's kind of chilly here. It's 60 degrees.
I've got
yeah.
a shirt and shorts on, right? And
Yeah,
meanwhile,
exactly.
I'm in 4 layers and it's blizzarding again.
Yeah, totally.
Like, that's kind of
Definitely
the
question it a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's the adjustment. And Paige, for you out of Lake Forest, Illinois, we were talking a little bit before the episode. Not where is there water to sail on in Illinois, in a landlocked state, but I mean you have some lakes you mentioned that serve the purpose.
Yeah, Lake Michigan, I think it's its name is a little bit misleading, but it honestly acts like an ocean. We get huge swells and great wind, like really different conditions. So I learned to sail over at Lake Forest Sailing and on Lake Michigan. And I was a little bit more used to the colds coming from
Yeah, exactly.
Lake Forest. Like we sailed in a lot of similar conditions as we sail here. So BC was a little bit of an easier transition, maybe compared to like someone who comes from beautiful climates. But I'm really happy to be here.
Would the sailing, Peter, that you did on the West Coast be primarily on the Pacific Ocean?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I guess generally, as someone that has never sailed before but has always taken an interest in what you guys do, what's the difference between maybe not Lake Michigan, because that may be a bad example, it's similar to an ocean, but what's the difference between sailing on an ocean versus a lake or a river?
There's not much difference.
Okay.
The difference more comes from like the environment you're in, the geography around you, and just the general weather conditions for that day in particular.
Yeah.
There's not a huge difference between like freshwater and saltwater. It doesn't really make a whole lot of a difference. But
Okay.
definitely just like the area that you're in and the weather that they have makes a huge difference.
So if the wind is howling, then obviously you're in a
Totally.
sailboat, you're going to have some difficulties. Can you remember a particularly windy day that you've raced in, either in high school here or here at BC?
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. I actually was just laughing with one of my teammates from spring break last year. We sailed a particularly windy day, and one of the boat breakdowns happen all the time, and one of the side stays, which holds up the mast in the middle of the boat, came off. It kind of snapped.
And that would be considered a breakdown.
That's a breakdown.
Oh,
So
man.
we can't sail, and we had to get towed in, and it was like definitely chaotic. But I think when you have good teammates, it's just something fun to laugh about.
How often do breakdowns happen? Is it just dependent on the day, like we were kind of talking about?
Yeah, I mean, when it's really windy, they happen more, and when there's not much wind, they don't happen very often. But it's definitely something you deal with, and it's sometimes really frustrating, especially when you're sailing and you have a breakdown happen. But it's part of the game.
And what can you do to avoid it, as someone on the boat?
Usually at college events, the university has their own fleet of boats.
Okay.
So you sail their boats, which is kind of unique to sailing. It's not like that in a lot of other sports. But you just do a thorough check of your boat before you
Right.
get in it. Make sure
It's
everything
just
looks good.
making sure everything's secure.
Yeah, I think we talk about having oftentimes in sailing, there's maybe maximum 6 people on the water, and there's a whole land crew. So we really emphasize having great people on land who are there to catch the next boat and check over the rigging, so that the teammates who are on the
Yeah.
water are set up for success.
And as we get into sort of the nuts and bolts of sailing, which I think is great, because we were talking before that a lot of people don't know about your program's success. I mean, 23 national titles, including one last year. You both are national champions here at BC. Congratulations on that, by the way. That's incredible. And when you think about each of your positions on the boat, right? We got a crew member and a skipper over here. What does it take to be good at what you do in the boat, in your position?
What does it take? I feel like it's similar and different
And I know
for
that's a
each
loaded
roles.
question, but
Yeah, it's similar and different for each roles. I think the top is communication. When you are maybe walking by the Charles, you see a bunch of boats floating around, and it looks pretty peaceful. But when you zoom in into the boat, it's a lot to do with how the two people in the boat work together, and staying really focused on what your job is in the moment. I think having very clear and direct communication and being able to adapt to the different people you're sailing with goes for both skippers and crews. I think that's a skill that translates in life too.
Yeah, I totally agree. Skipper-wise, I think the communication is obviously important, and I think just being able to make decisions under pressure is something that's really important. And with a lot of variables, there's a lot of variables in sailing. The wind's always changing. Your competitors are moving around. The race course is sometimes moving as well. So just being able to handle those variables is something that makes a skipper successful.
And it sounds like there's a lot of them, right? When you forget the wind and the breakdowns, but and you talk about that communication page. What does that look like between a crew member and a skipper?
Yeah, so it can be something. We actually just did a whole communication meeting with the crews because that's like we can have an hour, 2 hour long meeting because it's so important. So within the boat, as a crew, I often am talking about what the wind is doing if I see a wind shift or if one side of the course is favored, or what other boats are doing. Or I think something that we've been focusing on is prioritizing how your boat feels. And trying to maybe ask questions or talk to your skipper in order to kind of streamline their decision process because there are so many variables.
So almost like, I hate to use the term caddy, but from a golf perspective, that seems like almost what you help with, right? Because it sounds like, just from talking to you guys, it's very strategy oriented, where when you talk about variables, Peter, it seems there's so many of them that can come at any time. There's so much volatility that at some point, you can strategize all you want, but is it really up to you in the end when there's things that are out of your control?
There's a lot of things in sailing that are out of your control.
Yeah.
Which can be, it can be frustrating at times, but that's kind of the name of the game, is learning to adapt. And I think the caddy thing is right and wrong. I think it's like they're equally as important as the skipper, and I think they're vital to the success and execution of being able to handle all those variables like you talked about.
And that caddy analogy is no difference to either of the positions. They're all
No.
equally important, but it's kind of just, for someone that doesn't, I'm not saying me, but for someone that isn't familiar with sailing, right? And that may be a reasonable way to look at it because there's just so many variables, as you mentioned. There's so much going on at once. You use the term chaotic to describe the breakdown, but I would honestly, when you pull out and look from 38,000 feet, that's almost what the whole operation looks like. And you guys make it look so smooth. When you think about that chemistry that's required to make that well-oiled machine run, how do you develop that maybe away from the boats, just on campus and with each other?
I think it's all about connection. I think, especially when you have an incoming class at the beginning of the year, getting to know them in a one-on-one kind of time, and making sure that you have group events so everybody gets to know each other personality-wise and off the water, because it only helps when you get on the water, when everybody cares about each other and knows each other well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think recently I've been really inspired by Alyssa Liu, who just won
the figure
gold.
skater.
Yes,
Yeah.
she just won gold for the first time in 24 years, and I've been inspired by her joy throughout her practice. And I think oftentimes, joy and winning aren't in the same conversation as discipline and hard work are. So I think that we try and make sure that people are having fun in their sport because it's an equally important variable as hard work and discipline in winning.
And you mentioned variable. That's something you can control, right? And especially as captains, it feels like that can come from the top of the leadership ladder. How do you guys integrate some of that fun into the practices and even into the races?
I think we just keep it lighthearted. Sometimes it's easy to get a little too intense about it and forget to have fun. And I think it's okay to make jokes at practice and in lift and in meetings, and just keep it fun and lighthearted. It's just sailing. It's not the end all be all of life. So
Yeah, I think cheering each other on. I think our team's really good at that. Definitely recognizing when each person has a small success or a huge win at a regatta. Before regattas, we send people off with pancakes Friday nights, and we all get together, making sure that we recognize when it's someone's first regatta, or if it's a really important regatta we're going to, we want to make sure everyone's feeling supported.
Sounds like that culture of support is really strong. I got to ask about the pancakes, though. Like silver dollar, chocolate chip, blueberry. What kind of pancakes? Is it dependent on the person?
We sometimes we get creative with it.
Okay.
One time there was a starburst thrown in a pancake. I don't really know how I feel
You can
about
put a
that.
starburst in a pancake?
You shouldn't.
no,
You
it-
should.
it wasn't-
I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. Right?
It wasn't very good. Yeah,
No, it's
I
not
would- I
good.
would
Who
recommend
was the unlucky recipient of that?
one of our
God.
seniors who graduated last year.
Oh man.
So, but usually, pancakes, just keep it simple and lighthearted. Pancakes and smoothies.
Exactly.
Just such a great way to get the team
Can't
together.
go wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Everybody
Who-
loves breakfast for dinner.
Me too, right? It's incredible. And after a race, I can't think of a better thing. You get maybe a big PR, you get first regatta, whatever it is, right? Boom, pancakes, and that's it supports that culture of support. We hear it with so many BC teams that come in here and do these podcasts about how tightly knit they are. But it feels like sailing when you guys are working so closely together day in and day out. We talk about building that chemistry. How would you describe the relationships, whether it's on the boat or off of it, between you and your teammates?
It's like a family. Especially for me, coming from far away, like we talked about, it was it was an instant group of people I could connect with. You know, we all had something in common, and yeah, it's like a second family.
Yeah. And how has that served as a support system to go off that for some maybe, not having as many initial friends here outside the sailing program? How has that helped you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you when you get here, you have people that are older than you that you can lean on and ask questions and learn from, and it makes everything way easier when you have people you can lean on and people have been through stuff like this before. It makes the transition really easy.
Yeah, it's really like your brothers and sisters, and we try really hard. I don't think if you walked into our team right now, you'd be able to recognize who's a freshman and who's a senior. I'm going up to freshmen all the time during practice and asking them questions in the same way in reverse. So I think we try and do a really good job at supporting each other.
And that's really important for you guys as captains too, right? To say that, just because I have this label of a leader and I'm one of the leadership roles on this team doesn't mean that you can't lead, and doesn't mean that I can't ask you questions, right? And I feel like that's really important as you guys go into begin your season, right? Especially now as you're kind of building up those relationships and those kind of processes, especially with your trip coming up. But do you find what's the importance of these couple of weeks before the season starts to really have that tight-knit family be created?
I think making sure everybody feels like they can get, especially in the off season, I always feel like I kind of have some rust I need to rub off, and making sure everybody's patient with themselves and kind of let that process happen. And then especially because we're starting our team racing season, which is you have three BC boats versus 3 opponents. Mm-hmm. You start to try to gel that chemistry between the groups so that you can work together more effectively in that discipline. So that's really critical in this first couple weeks of the season to get that going.
Yeah, and you talk about the conference, the ACC. It feels like in every sport there's just so much talent across the board in this league. What is it, Paige, about the ACC and your experience racing against them that makes them so strong in the sailing sphere?
Well, I think every team has the same, very similar routine to us. Every team lifts. Every team has meetings outside of practice and, puts in hours of practice every week. So everyone is very good and is led by great coaches and great leaders. I think it's the team culture and how the team takes accountability themselves that really set the great from the good.
And that kind of comes back to ownership, right? Mm-hmm. Where it feels like whatever that version of accountability is, every team's got it. And that's what makes this league so difficult. Also, we mentioned the All-Coast Conference, right? That's a joke that gets floated around. Going back to your home state of California, Stanford and Cal being integrated into the fold a couple of years ago. Now you're making cross-country trips, right? What's that adjustment been like?
I think it's been maybe easier than other sports. We've always had, on a regular basis, had Stanford and other schools from other conferences like Tulane and Georgetown and others that are good sailing schools that have come and competed against us on a regular basis. So it's probably been a smoother transition than it has been for other sports. Yeah.
Because you're already kind of doing that travel anyway.
Right.
Yeah, and sailing's such a small world.
Yeah.
You kind of know most people. It doesn't matter what coast you're on. So it's been a pretty smooth transition.
I wonder, is that in any way because you're limited, especially seasonally, to a certain pockets of the country where the water's right or where there's an ample race course available? Does that have any impact?
I think especially early in the season, places like here where it's cold, you have cold weather, you probably travel a little more in the beginning of the season. We'll start our season the second weekend of spring break at Georgetown in a not exactly a warm weather climate, but a warmer weather one.
Warmer, yeah.
Yeah, and so especially at the beginning of the season, it definitely affects your travel a little bit.
It's funny, we had baseball and softball in here, and we talked with them especially about this. For the first, softball doesn't play a home game here until March 27th.
Yeah, wow.
Right? You're almost done with the semester at that point. They still got the brunt of their season left. What kind of impact does that have on you, whether it's either coast or some of the teams you're racing against, being on the road so much, especially early on?
I think it makes it a little harder sometimes when you're staying in a hotel every weekend, but it's also fun. I think that those are some of my favorite memories on the team, or traveling with the team and staying with teammates and being on the road. I think it's kind of fun, and it really helps bring the group together, which I think is especially important this time of year, and get that rolling, that chemistry going as we progress into where we have more closer to home events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Paige, you mentioned it earlier, but with the team building aspect of it, the chemistry, how you guys are gelling together, maybe outside of the boat, how important are those trips in furthering that process?
Yeah, so important. I think the more you can spend time with a smaller group, the better. You get to know. We're a team of 34 people, so it's a pretty big team.
It's a big group.
And I think we do a good job at knowing each individual. But having those smaller events where it's a group of maybe 10 people, that van ride to the event, just getting to know each other. I think it's just the smaller moments, and since our group is really made up of really incredible people, so it's a lot of fun, even in what might be like a dull moment.
Yeah, and how, I'm wondering, as captains, maybe just as a whole team, how do you make those dull moments a little brighter? Are there any team bonding activities you guys will do? Any fun traditions on the road that you guys have?
You have a game you like to bring with you to regardless.
Oh yeah, I have this game called Catchphrase. It's kind of like, it's kind of like charades, but just like small things like that. I think that during spring break we try and have dinners with different people every day, or we try and eat lunch with different people every day. I would say it's like not set traditions all the time, other than our pancakes, and we also do like team potlucks and team Thanksgiving. But it's more the smaller moments where you're able to just connect with a small group of your team and learn a little more about
And now I've got to ask, I don't want to dispel any secrets here, but what's Catchphrase?
Catchphrase, so it's like this. You can order it on Amazon. It's like this circle thing. And
This is like a board game. Oh, okay.
It's like a electronic device, and it comes up like it could say like ping pong, and you have to get your partner to guess. It's like, okay, it's a game
is this the game where you flip your phone on your head?
It's kind of like
Okay.
that, but it's just like with a button. It's basically like Heads Up, but with a button.
And everyone just laughed at me like, oh, you're such a grandpa. You don't know what this game is. Heads Up is what it's called?
Yeah.
But
I think so.
Catchphrase is similar, where you've got maybe something you have to act out, or like partners got to.
Exactly.
So like
it
charades.
can get intense. We're
It
like
can get
competitive people. So.
Well, naturally,
Yeah.
right? You're getting ready to go to a race. Why not get the competitive juices flowing in Catchphrase? Do you have any fun Catchphrase moments you can share?
Oh gosh, I mean, it's probably my.
Maybe too many to pick from.
I live with sailors. I live with Caroline Sibley and Kennedy LeRae. So we definitely have played Catchphrase, and things have gotten heated, but it's all in good fun.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of that. Like you said, what could otherwise be a dull moment is made brighter, and then you're having more fun,
Exactly.
like we talked about earlier. And then you go out and you're racing. It feels like, oh, we're a team, we're together, and we're in this for the long run. One thing I always bring up with maybe seemingly individual sports, and you guys are a team, right? But sailing, in terms of the execution, the action, it's largely individual. Would you second that?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's a group of two.
Right,
Yeah.
and thinking just about now, maybe it's a little different in that respect from something like tennis, where in singles you're by yourself out there. But I always think about the duality of these individual sports, where it's an individual action, yet you're trying to compete as a team. How do you, maybe from a goals perspective, how do you balance those sorts of, not competing, but different maybe achievements?
Yeah, I think at events for sailing, it's kind of unique because it's not like, we have lacrosse practice going on out here. It's not like that where you have, I don't know how many people are on the lacrosse field, but, or football where there's 11 guys on the field at one time.
Yep.
It's like only 4 or 6 people in the water at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So on a 34-person team, that's a really small percentage of the team. And so our coach likes to say that, like, our uniform says Boston College. It doesn't say your name on it. So it's like putting the team before yourself. And if it's not you on the water when you want it to be, you have to, desire that for your teammates and be happy for them. And that's a big thing we focus on with the team.
Yeah, our coach also, Greg, has we call them Gregisms, but one of my favorites is being the best sandwich maker. And what that means is, taking whatever task that you have and really giving it 100%, even if you're not on the water and you're in charge of making sandwiches for when they rotate, putting all your effort into that and doing your best in that so that your teammates can go out there and perform. Because your teammates want to be able to rely on you and to know if you're about to get subbed in that you'll be ready to go.
Because it's little things that count, right?
100%.
Whether it's with sandwich making, refilling like Gatorade bottles. I mean,
Yeah.
all these tasks that may seem mundane when compared to being on the boat, but they're really important, right? Because how good is that sandwich when you get off and you rotate, right?
Life-changing.
And if it's well made, that has an impact on performance, like you mentioned. And just as we wrap up the team portion here, we'll get into some of these fun questions and then look back on your BC experience. As you get ready for the season, how would you describe this team's vibe? I hate to use it. I mean, that's stolen from our last host, but just what's the overall energy like around the building?
I think that this is I think coming to Boston College, you're surrounded by really extraordinary individuals, but the Boston College sailing team is hands down the hardest working people I've ever met. And I think that is done through leading by example. It's not just the upperclassmen leading by example, but the freshmen within their own right. So I think that we are, just like Peter was saying, I think we're a family, and we're here to make sure that, the person next to us is getting better every day, and we do that by, focusing on how we can best hold ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word I'd use would be energetic.
Yeah.
I think especially right now, everybody's the energy is palpable. Everybody's firing, chomping at the bit, ready to go. Spring break, so yeah, everybody's fired up.
Almost on edge. You want to race tomorrow if you could, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Ready to go for this season. As we talk about your Boston College experience, we're all seniors here. Looking back on your time at BC, are there any memories maybe in the boat or even out, or let's do both, in the boat and out of the boat as a student at BC that jump to your mind as you look back on your experience?
Oh, I'll start with my in the boat one. My sophomore year, we won the match race national championship, which was I don't know, it was one of those
we've
moments.
got two. You got two national titles.
It was one of those moments where you're just kind of in the flow and it felt easy. That was felt like a big culmination of a lot of effort. So it was that was a big moment for me in college, in the boat. Out of the boat, there's a lot. I've always lived with teammates and they're my best friends. So there's a lot. I can't pick one, but I spend a lot of time with these people and it's a lot. I can't pick
that's
one.
Great. I mean, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
In the boat, I mean, practice is so much fun, but there are some days where the wind is perfect and you reach in and it's probably really windy and it's kind of dark out, the sun is just setting and you're going really fast and it's a lot of fun. Or just, I don't know, going downwind, surfing waves is a lot of fun. I think just finding the little moments in practice that are beautiful are my fondest memories. And then outside, one of our team traditions is Thanksgiving, and we go around the room saying what we're thankful for. And I think that's really special and a good reflective moment. But also just, I don't know, getting food with your teammates, going to lower, being on the bus. It can sometimes be an hour-long bus ride to practice every day, and you can either take that time for yourself, or it's a great time to spend with your teammates.
100%. I don't know if you guys have seen the video of the BC basketball player when he's crying in the press conference. He goes, "Going out to eat," right? That's.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the most popular answer when we ask that question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something interesting, Paige, about being with the sun setting. I wonder, is there a season you prefer to sail in? Maybe the end of summer into the fall versus the spring into summer.
Oh,
I like the fall.
You like the fall?
I like the early fall. Yeah. It's warm. It's usually really good breeze here in Boston in the early fall. It's also just excitement of being back. So that's my favorite time.
Yeah.
I think mine's the end of the spring.
Okay.
It's similar. It's just getting warm. So 50 degrees felt like what might have been 80 degrees in the fall.
Yep.
And we're able to wear more comfortable gear. And I don't know, we're getting ready for nationals, team racing.
Yep.
I think that's my favorite season.
All the good stuff. And we call trophy season around here,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
So we got two on opposite ends of the season spectrum, right? One in the fall, one in the spring. I wonder, what's the cutoff date in the fall for when's the latest you can go out on the water? Is it just dependent on the surrounding environment, when it gets too cold or when it freezes over?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the year. Some years it's cold and we have to stop, but usually our last competition is last week of October, first weekend of November.
Okay.
For our regular season, and then we have our single-handed and our match race national championships later in November, so that's when we cut off in the fall.
Yeah. And as you get ready for that, that's going to be you guys in a couple of weeks when you're getting ready for that playoff season. What goes through your mind? What gets you excited about that?
Oh gosh, I mean, it's really rewarding to be able to see the culmination of all your hard work, and also all your teammates' hard work. Like we've talked about, it's an interesting sport where there's only 2 people in a boat, but really you can't practice sailing efficiently without your whole team there and without being able to have a lot of people on the line. So I think we just try and keep a steady pace, not let the winds, not ride the winds too high and the losses too low. And yeah, I think just keeping people excited and balanced.
And we've talked about that culture of support. It sounds like that's such a great thing to fall back on. You speak of work. I've heard that you guys out of the boat, away from practice, you guys do a lot of work in the community to better those around you. Talk a little bit about that. What does that work entail, and how does that bring you closer together?
Last year we won the St. Ignatius Cup, which was really cool. It's a good way for us to come together as a team and especially in the off season in like an organized way.
Yeah.
And get the whole team together. Sometimes it's hard to get the whole team together in one place, and it's like kind of fun too. You're all working towards a common goal, even if it's just like loading food at the food pantry or something like that. It's kind of fun, and you can make a game out of it and make it really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk a lot about building different leaders and building like a team of leaders, and I think new situations like that, going to community service, allows people with different strengths to shine through, and yeah, it's a great opportunity for our team, and it's usually a lot of fun.
Yeah, and all those things are so much fun. A, but B, it's a great bonding experience, and I know that the St. Ignatius Cup is kind of not made it into a competition, right? But it's a competition serving a great goal, right?
Yeah.
And you guys do some incredible work in that regard. Getting into some fun questions, asking about maybe people on the team, things that you guys like when you're in practice. Well, we ask all these questions to the athletes who've gotten a wide range of answers, and I'm excited to hear what VC sailing reps have to say about your favorite dining hall on campus and a meal from said dining hall.
I don't know. This is probably like a super niche answer.
Okay.
I doubt you've gotten this one before, but they sometimes at Lower have the chicken tikka masala. I don't know why I like that. It's probably a super niche answer.
So we have gotten it before.
You have?
It
Okay.
seems pretty popular.
Okay.
but
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong.
I've never tried it, and it sounds like with all I've probably gotten it 3 or 4 times. I gotta
Really?
try it. Yeah.
Okay, it's not as niche as I thought. Okay. Yeah. That's my favorite.
I think mine probably Lower. What's my favorite meal? I like sometimes the salmon bowls where
Ooh.
I don't know. I kind of make my own thing.
Where do they-
A little
where's
bit
the
of rice,
salmon
little
bowl?
salmon, then
Okay.
put some sriracha on there, some
Yeah.
greens. I like
Mixing
kind
and
of
matching.
DIY it.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the way. Those are 2 good ones. I've asked all the teams this, because I've never been there. Apparently, there's a dining hall in 245 Beacon that I just never heard of.
I've
Tully?
seen
Are
it.
you guys
I've never
familiar-
been
like-
there, but I've seen it. Yeah.
245 Beacon?
Like
Yeah,
the
Tully?
Tully,
in
the
the
Tully
basement.
Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
right?
I've been there.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Is it good?
It's pretty good, yeah.
What do they have?
It's like Greek food, I think.
I would want to try that.
You should
like-
try it. It's pretty good.
Oh man.
Yeah, I guess it's hidden, but
I'm a big fan of Heroes or I
Yeah.
butcher it every time.
Yeah.
Gyro is what it says. But
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love them so
Yeah.
much. I don't know if they have those, but
it's a
they're-
lot of Greek bowls.
That's
there's
still
good
money.
tzatziki, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
In the science building. I don't know if you guys are science majors and that's where you guys are, but it's in the science building too. Is a nice thing after like a horrible class or something.
I've never
like
been there. Yeah.
You're in the lab.
I'll
I
give it a
don't know.
shot.
I got to try it out. See, you think after 4 years you try everything on this campus?
You would think. Yeah.
Oh, there's still so much to uncover. Favorite day on campus? It can be any day on the calendar. Maybe the snow days are in contention. That we've had 2 of them this semester. But what's your favorite day?
What's my favorite day? I think either the first or last day of class.
Oh,
Weirdly, there's like a weird. I think it's just the energy on
Yeah.
campus.
Yep.
Everyone's either excited to start or excited that there's finally warm weather.
yeah.
I think those 2. I just like
Oh,
the
so you're talking
energy.
about like the very first day of the very first semester and
Yeah.
the last day of the last semester.
Exactly.
Okay, no, I
Yeah.
like that. We have not had that answer before. Usually Marathon Monday gets said. Is that where
That's
you
what
were
I was-
headed?
That's what I was gonna say.
Marathon
I mean,
Monday is awesome.
it's a classic,
Or
right?
just warm days in the spring in general. Yeah.
And it feels like in the past couple of years, I know our freshman year we had a rainy, or maybe it wasn't freshman. No, freshman year, rainy day. We had like a complete rain out.
Yeah.
Obviously, they still run it, right? It makes it harder on the runners. Last 3 ones though have been like really nice days. It feels like for the first time in a while, and like with just that whole celebration, it's so cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're a runner, Peter. Have you ever gotten the thought of trying something like that?
No, the furthest I've ever ran is a half marathon, and that beat me up. So maybe one day. But
It's just one more of those. It's,
Yeah,
just, it's
exactly.
just 26 miles, right? No,
Yeah.
no small task to say the least. Do you have a favorite spot on campus? Like anywhere you go to do work, like anywhere you walk around, doing something on the res, whatever it is.
When I was a freshman, between the 2 Stokes buildings, there's like a garden right there.
Yes, like under the bridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I really like it right there. I used
Yeah.
to walk through there when I was a freshman coming down from Upper. I really like it right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Although I always get hesitant asking that question because we had someone say, I don't want to give away my spot. I'm like, fair.
That's valid. That's valid. A lot of the sailing team does work on the 2nd floor of Yaki, and that's where I do a lot of my work. So I love to study there. But favorite spot on campus, there is a statue. I can't believe I'm blanking on who it is, but it's right near 245 Beacon.
St.
Somet-
Ignatius.
It is St. Ignatius,
Nice.
what I thought.
Yep.
And I don't know, I like sitting there sometimes and when it's warm weather.
a
There's
good
also
spot.
the whole grass area.
That's such a great area because you have like the little not roundabout, but the circle
Yeah.
where everyone's walking
Yeah,
down
exactly.
to 245, Fulton to Gaston, that area. And St. Ignatius is usually a good guess on any statue on this campus.
Yeah.
I was gonna say St. Ignatius, but I don't wanna be wrong.
well deserved also. Who has the best aux on the team? I know we mentioned those van rides can get up to an hour, so you got a lot to live up to in an hour car ride. But who has the best music?
My direct roommate, Peter Bush, who's another senior, has named himself the Ox captain on the team.
Oh, okay, self-appointed.
Self-appointed. Yeah, self-appointed. Some people agree, some people disagree, but
Paige, do
I
you
think it's
concur?
pretty
Yeah, I concur.
Okay.
Peter Bush is pretty good. at
What's
oxing.
Peter playing?
good. Ooh, it's a wide range. Sometimes
Wide
it's
range.
sometimes it's country, sometimes it's like house music. He's all over the place.
Whatever
Sometimes-
the mood is.
Yeah, sometimes 2000s beats. Get a
Oh,
little
yeah.
Rihanna or Kesha in there.
Oh,
You know?
I mean, I feel like that's a good like pump up. Like if I'm going to a race,
Yeah.
getting ready to get in the boat, like I want some of those like like rah
Exactly.
songs. So it sounds like with the long car rides, he's got like an ample playlist here that you can just mix and match and shuffle for whatever the mood is. What are your pre-race rituals, if any? Like, do you have any superstitions? Something you have to do before you get in the boat?
I have a playlist that I have to listen to in order, which is kind of weird. And I go over. We have interesting life jackets that have pockets, so we are able to keep a bunch of stuff in there.
Oh.
So I take out everything, quickly make sure I have everything, and grab a blue Powerade.
And get in.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't really have any like rituals, things I have to do, but I'm superstitious about some stuff like hats. Got to wear the same hat. You
Every
know, like,
race.
If I'll wear the same hat until it goes bad, and then the hat will be gone forever, and pick a new one.
Okay. And you just pick a new one, and that's
Yeah,
it. That's
that's
your
it.
hat.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a
Yeah.
fair superstition.
Yeah.
Now, is it? I imagine it's like a dry fit, like waterproof hat that you wear when you're in
No,
the
it's
boat?
more just like a regular baseball cap.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at it. I'm like, is that a visor they're wearing? Because you can't really see sometimes, especially if you get like a close-up picture. But if you're a hat person, it's a regular baseball cap.
Regular baseball.
That thing's
cap.
got to be drenched after a race where you get like a big wave or something like that. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it is, but
Knock
it's gonna
it
get
off.
wet anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't. And funny story. My family's from Sicily, so we went over there once, and we were on a boat. Like just wind is howling. And my grandfather's kind of bald. Wears a hat out all the time. Just
Yeah.
You've just never seen
Been
that
there.
hat. Never seen that hat. He got it at the Super Bowl. He was like, I'm like, well, that's the risk you run, right? Of wearing a hat on a
Yeah.
boat deck.
Yeah, I've lost a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we got the lucky hat though, ready for Miami.
Ready to go.
Awesome. Right, locked and loaded. What's a phrase your coach always says? You mentioned some of those Gregisms. Like, so can you share some of those?
The one I think that's most common is make the person next to you better. It's kind of like his own version of men and women for others, maybe. He says that a lot. I think it's just like a good reminder of always being there for your teammate.
like that.
The
Yeah,
goal
that's
is
a
to
good
make
one.
them better, and that only helps you.
Yeah.
Greg also likes to talk about winning and start with winning and work back from there. Like start with the goal and then work back of how you got to there.
Kind of pull out, right?
Exactly.
Here's what we want. Here's how we're gonna get it.
Yeah.
I like
the big
that.
goal and then like the actionable steps to get there.
Doesn't matter how, just win. Right? Just win, baby. A little Raiders
as that.
action there. Exactly. Well, easier said than done in sailing. At least for maybe not for you guys, but for me. Favorite BC sport to watch that isn't your own?
Oh, I like hockey.
Hockey. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're most available during the hockey season. It's rare that we're able to go to football games because regattas are 2 days, so they're Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
So hockey during the off season was a lot of fun
Yeah.
with our team.
Big weekend for hockey. BU
Yeah.
up on deck, and then of course the women playing Vermont in the Hockey East opener, so that's fun.
Yeah.
Were you guys at the Beanpot?
I was not at the Beanpot this year. I went last year. It was a lot of fun.
There you go.
A bunch of our teammates won. I had class, so I went to class.
What
but
professor didn't cancel class for the finals? Oh, we're playing BU 300th meeting. Oh man, that stinks.
I know. But I heard it was a really good time.
Yeah, and hockey's just great, right? And just watching, and that's my one takeaway is whenever we ask that question, people are so excited to talk about the other sports. So the
Yeah.
camaraderie between all of BC athletics is wonderful, right? And just evidenced by how you guys are talk about other sports. In terms of what's coming up for you guys at Georgetown weekend after this one,
Yep.
and then in Miami training, what are you looking forward to most about this season? And can you share each a personal and team goal?
Good question. What am I looking forward to the most? I think we have set really good goals for the season, and I think we have encouraged people to set their own. So I'm excited to see people holding themselves accountable to that goal. And we have race days on Wednesday, so it's kind of like a mock regatta, but we really encourage people to focus on one aspect, focus on one thing to work on during those race days.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see people, encouraging each other and, working on a specific goal. One of my goals, I know I kind of talked about it, but for especially going into kind of a more stressful season with nationals ahead, I think keeping practice fun for everyone and keeping things lighthearted, cheering people on when we can, and asking as many questions as possible.
Yeah, and it's a really good thing to have, right? Just make crack a smile every once in a while, right? I always say, remember that sports are fun, right? And sailing no different.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting team racing. We don't do that in the fall, and it's one of my favorite disciplines that we have, so I'm really excited for that. Personal goal I have, like Paige kind of mentioned, I want to keep it fun. It doesn't mean you can't be competitive or intense about your sport, but that's the ultimate goal is to have fun, and I think that leads to winning. So
We hope you guys have a ton of fun in Florida, ton of fun the weekend after when you open up at Georgetown. We're really glad we could have you guys in today. Best of luck this season, guys. Thanks so much.
Wanna give it up, be the best.